I woke up this morning feeling like nothing could touch me. Are you actually awake? Or just pretending? She teased from the doorway, holding a cup of coffee. I'm awake, I said, smiling. Just savoring the fact that I get to marry you in a few days. She laughed softly, the sound warming the entire room. A few days? You say that like it's nothing. Do you even realize how many decisions we still have to make? I'm aware, I said, running a hand through my hair. But nothing else matters as long as we're here. She stepped closer and kissed my forehead. You always say the right things, she murmured. I don't know what I'd do without you. You'd survive, I joked, but I'd be miserable. She rolled her eyes, but there was a smile in them I couldn't ignore. Promise me nothing will ever change, she whispered, clutching my hand. I promise, I said without hesitation. At that moment, I truly believed it. Downstairs, the house smelled like fresh flowers and new paint. The wedding planners had been in since 6 a.m., and my father was already barking orders. Check the seating chart again, he said sharply. I don't want any mistakes. I want perfection. Yes, father, I said, trying to keep my tone neutral. He had always measured me by business standards, never emotions. You're calm, he continued. Good. You'll need it. This wedding is important, not just for you, but for the family name. I understand, I muttered, though I hated the way he said it. To him, love was a business asset. My best friend, Cameron, appeared from the kitchen, holding a stack of envelopes. You're late for breakfast, he said. I've been trying to wake you for 10 minutes. I was negotiating peace with the fiancé, I said, grinning. He laughed, shaking his head. You're a fool, but at least you're happy. I am, I said. I've never been happier. You should be, he replied. You finally got her. At that moment, the driver, Asif, entered quietly. Good morning, sir. Miss, good morning, he said politely, nodding at both of us. Morning, Asif, I said. Are the deliveries for the decorators ready? Yes, sir. Everything is loaded in the van, he replied calmly. There was a quiet efficiency about him that I appreciated. He never asked for praise, never sought attention. I'll grab the keys, I said. Don't want to be late. She frowned. Asif, can you stay a little later today? There's a few errands left, and I want everything perfect. Of course, miss, he said. His voice never changed, but I noticed the way he nodded, willing to accommodate everything without question. I laughed lightly. You're going to be exhausted before the wedding even happens. He smiled faintly, a small curve that didn't reach his eyes. It's nothing, sir. You really are invisible sometimes, I whispered to him quietly, almost joking. But don't worry, I'll still remember you at the wedding. He nodded again, his calm presence a strange comfort in the chaos. The morning went by in a blur of planning and phone calls. My father hovered, checking every detail with sharp eyes. Cameron kept me grounded with jokes and reminders to eat. My fiancée flitted around, effortlessly charming the staff, the planners, even Asif. Finally, the house grew quiet. She found me on the balcony, looking out over the gardens. Come here, she said, tugging me gently. I stepped toward her, heart swelling. She wrapped her arms around me tightly, and I hugged her back as if holding on could keep this moment from ever ending. Promise me nothing will ever change, she whispered again, pressing her forehead to mine. I promise, I said, my voice firm. I had no idea then how heavy those words would become. She smiled softly, resting her cheek on my shoulder. Good. I just want to be sure, she murmured. Nothing will change, I repeated, almost like a vow to myself. I'll make sure of it. For a while, we stayed like that, letting the world drift away. My father's voice calling names from inside didn't reach me. Cameron's laughter from the kitchen faded. Even Asif's quiet footsteps became part of the background. All that mattered was her, and the life we were about to start together. I had no idea I had just made the most painful promise of my life. I woke up to silence, but it didn't feel peaceful. The bed beside me was empty. Hey, I called, my voice cracking slightly. No answer. I threw off the covers and ran to the bedroom. Her side of the closet was half empty. Where the hell are you? I shouted. My heart thumped. The phone on the nightstand buzzed. I grabbed it. Nothing. Then again. Still nothing. Her number was off. My stomach sank. I ran to the living room. My father was pacing. Dad, I said, panic rising, have you seen her? He turned, frowning. No, but I know something else. Asif's gone too. I froze. Gone? What do you mean gone? He's not in the garage. The car's not here. And the house staff said he left hours ago. His voice was flat, controlled, but I could hear the irritation underneath. I swallowed hard. Both of them? At the same time. It appears so, he said. Call the police. Now. I grabbed my phone with trembling hands. Cameron barged in behind me. What's wrong? Why are you pale? They're both gone. I stammered. She's gone. Asif's gone. Cameron's eyes widened. Are you serious? I nodded. I don't know what to do. He put a hand on my shoulder. We'll figure this out. First, breathe. Okay. Just breathe. I couldn't. My mind was spinning. How could this happen? She was supposed to marry me in 3 days. 3 days. Maybe there's a reason, Cameron said cautiously. We don't know the whole story yet. I ran to her bedroom again, desperate for answers. Drawers half empty, luggage pulled out. It was like she had vanished in a thin air. No note? Nothing. Cameron followed. Nothing. But, hey, look at me. We'll get through this. I promise. I shook my head, staring at her wardrobe. I can't believe this. I don't understand anything. My father's voice came from the hall. I called the police. They're on their way. But you need to face reality, son. I turned on him, furious. Reality? Reality is she's gone. Reality is my wedding's ruined. Reality is... Enough, he snapped. You need to handle this like an adult. Do you understand? I bit my tongue. Handling it like an adult didn't stop my heart from breaking. I paced. I stared at the empty house. Then my phone buzzed again. A number I didn't recognize. I picked it up, trembling. The message was short. I'm sorry. I can't marry you. What does this mean? I whispered to myself, staring at the screen. Cameron read over my shoulder. That's it? No explanation. I shook violently. No explanation. Nothing. My hands were shaking. Guests, the wedding, the decorations, everything's ruined. My father's voice cut through. I don't care about your heartbreak. I care about the embarrassment. Call the wedding planner. Start canceling. Now. I felt humiliated, exposed. I wanted to scream, to cry, to punch a wall, but all I did was sit on the floor, clutching my phone. Cameron crouched beside me. Look, I know it's bad. I know it feels like the world's ending. But we need facts. Okay, let's get the CCTV footage. Maybe it'll explain something. My father had already started yelling at the staff, demanding the cameras. I sat numb. Minutes felt like hours. Then the technician showed me the footage. My heart froze. There she was, smiling, walking down the street, holding Asif's hand. Not dragged, not coerced. Willing. Happy. I stared at the screen, unable to breathe. She left with him? I whispered. Yes, Cameron said quietly. She did. Looks like she left willingly. I turned toward my father, hoping for anger, for words, for something. Anything. He just stood there, silent, frowning, like he couldn't believe it either. My world stopped. The room, the house, the air, it all felt like it disappeared. Every sound faded except the pounding of my own heartbeat. She chose him over me, I muttered. Cameron placed a hand on my shoulder again. We'll get through this. I promise. I shook my head, tears stinging my eyes. I can't even think straight. How could she? How could they? No one had answers. No one could explain it. Only the footage on the screen, showing them laughing, walking away, leaving my life behind. I sank to the floor, my body trembling. My wedding was days away. My fiancé was gone. The driver was gone, and I had no idea what to do next. The silence hit me hardest of all. My world went completely silent. I didn't leave my room for 2 days. The phone kept buzzing, but I ignored it. Cameron barged in anyway. Come on, man. You can't just hide here, he said, dropping onto my bed. I don't want to see anyone, I muttered. I don't want to hear anything. You have no idea what's happening outside, do you? He asked, brows furrowed. What's happening outside? I said, trying to sound casual, but knowing the answer. The world knows. Social media is brutal. They're calling you every name in the book. Memes, posts, videos, it's everywhere, he said. I laughed bitterly. Memes? Videos? People are making fun of my heartbreak. Yes, he said quietly. Your fiancé, the driver, they're heroes in their own story now. And you're the joke. I sank onto the floor, hiding my face. How could she do this? How could he do this? How could everyone know before I even figure it out? A knock at the door. Is this a bad time? My cousin appeared, smirking faintly. What do you want? I snapped, standing quickly. He shrugged. Just checking in. Everyone's talking. Even your father is upset. I glared. Upset? He's the one who called me soft. Not man enough. That's all I've heard. Exactly, my cousin said. Public embarrassment. Not heartbreak. That's your family's priority. I sank back on the couch. I can't breathe. Everywhere I turn, people are whispering, asking questions, staring. It's like the world is laughing at me. They are, Cameron said bluntly. But you're alive. That's the part you're forgetting. My mother appeared quietly in the doorway. Son, she said softly, don't listen to them. Don't let their words define you. I looked at her, wanting comfort, but my pride burned too fiercely. Mom, it's more than words. It's my life ruined. I know, she said, stepping closer. But isolating yourself isn't helping. You need air. Time away. I shook my head. Air won't fix betrayal. Air won't fix humiliation. Air won't fix the wedding that's been canceled. Cameron grabbed my arm. We're going outside. Now. No arguments. I resisted. I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want. Enough, he said firmly. You can't sit here and let this destroy you. Not like this. Finally, I relented, dragging myself to the car. We drove in silence. My phone kept buzzing with unknown numbers. Journalists, business partners, distant relatives, all trying to dig for gossip. Do you see that? Cameron said, pointing toward a group of reporters near the main street. I swallowed hard. I can't deal with this. You don't have a choice, he said. You're part of the story now. Might as well face it. A journalist stepped forward, notebook ready. Sir, can you comment on your fiancé's disappearance? Do you feel betrayed? I opened my mouth, then closed it. I couldn't. Words failed me. Cameron muttered, ignore them. I kept replaying everything in my head, memories that suddenly felt like traps. Her late nights at work, the secret smiles, the private phone calls. Moments I thought were innocent now made my stomach twist. Do you think she ever loved you? Cameron asked quietly, breaking the silence. I clenched my fists. I don't know. I thought she did. I thought I was everything to her. You were, he said. But people can surprise you in the worst ways. My cousin appeared again, this time with a smirk. Looks like karma doesn't need help. Or maybe you just weren't enough. I wanted to punch him. I wanted to scream. Instead, I stared at the ground, my chest tight. My mother reached for my hand. Ignore him. Don't let him get inside your head. I can't, I muttered. Everything's out there. Everyone's judging me. I feel exposed. Cameron crouched in front of me. Listen, I know it hurts. I know it feels like everything's collapsing. But maybe this isn't the end of your life. Maybe this is the start of it. I stared at him. The words hit me harder than anything else. Maybe this pain wasn't just destruction. Maybe it was fuel. I breathed in slowly. Start of it, what do you mean? You've got a choice now, he said. You can stay broken, or you can take control. You can rebuild. I swallowed hard. For the first time, my chest felt tight, but not from fear. Anger, quiet and simmering, began to replace the heartbreak. I don't want to be the joke anymore, I muttered. You won't be, Cameron said firmly. Not if you decide you won't. I looked out the window. The city moved on, unaware of my humiliation. I could choose to let it crush me, or to rise above it. For the first time, I felt something other than despair. I felt the first spark of determination. Weeks passed, but the emptiness didn't go away. I forced myself to the gym. One more set, I muttered, sweat stinging my eyes. For me, not for her, not for anyone. Cameron leaned against the treadmill. You've been at this for hours. You're punishing yourself. I'm rebuilding, I snapped. I'm not punishing myself. You sure? He asked quietly. Because all I see is anger and exhaustion. Anger is fuel, I said, punching the bag. It's keeping me alive. Later, my father called. You've been absent from the office. Time to step up. I'm ready, I said, straightening. You better be. I'm giving you another chance, son. Don't waste it. I swallowed hard. I won't. At the office, a consultant waited. You must be the heir, he said, extending a hand. I'm Farhan. I challenge people who think they know everything. I think I know enough, I said. Do you? He asked sharply. Do you really? Or are you hiding behind excuses and past failures? I frowned. Excuses? I've worked my entire life for this family. And yet you failed at the most important part of your life, he said calmly. Your fiancé leaving, doesn't it show you were too passive? Too soft? I clenched my fists. Maybe I was. But I'm changing. I will not fail again. Good, he said, smiling faintly. Change requires more than words. Actions, focus, discipline, and the ability to face reality, not illusions. I nodded. Then, teach me. Weeks turned into months. I woke before sunrise, worked harder than anyone, ran harder than yesterday, and pushed my body to limits I didn't know existed. Cameron kept me grounded. Don't burn out, man. You're rebuilding, not disappearing. I won't disappear, I said. I'll rise. I started noticing myself change. The anger in my chest turned quiet, calculated. I started thinking strategically at work, challenging clients, taking risks. Farhan's voice echoed in my head. Face reality, not illusions. One evening, my phone buzzed. A notification from a news tip line. I frowned. Cameron, check this out. It's about Asif. Cameron leaned in. What about him? He's in trouble, I muttered. Apparently, he borrowed money. Huge debts. Loan sharks. He wasn't just a quiet driver. He was desperate. Cameron whistled. That explains a lot. Maybe this love story wasn't love at all. I sat down, running a hand through my hair. You mean she left because he manipulated her? Or she helped him? Does it matter? Cameron said. Fact is, the man wasn't innocent. And she made a choice. But now it's unraveling. I felt a flicker of satisfaction, mixed with something sharper. Not revenge yet. Observation. Karma in motion. The next day, I walked into the office with a new energy. Farhan raised an eyebrow. You've changed, he said. I have to, I replied. I can't afford distractions. I can't afford mistakes. I need control. Good, he said. Control doesn't come from anger. It comes from clarity. You're on the right path. Even at home, I noticed the difference. My body felt stronger, my mind sharper. Cameron said, You're like a different person. I don't even recognize the guy who stayed in his room for days. I don't either, I admitted. But I like him. One night, I sat with my mother, sharing coffee quietly. I feel alive again, I said. She smiled softly. I always knew you would. Sometimes we need the worst to find our strength. I nodded, staring out the window. The city lights were calm, but my thoughts weren't. I kept replaying everything. The betrayal, the humiliation, the shock. But now I wasn't broken. I was learning, calculating, preparing. Cameron appeared, holding a folder. Look at this. More details on Asif. He's deeper in debt than we thought. And she knew about it. I leaned over. Knew? So she wasn't just leaving me for him. She was part of this mess. It seems like it, Cameron said. Makes you wonder how much of their love was real. I felt a strange satisfaction. Not happiness. Not relief. Awareness. Karma, it seemed, had already begun moving. Farhan appeared behind me. You're watching too closely, he said. Don't get distracted by others' mistakes. Focus on what you can control. Your life, your choices, your growth. I am, I said. But I can't ignore what's happening. I need to understand the truth. He nodded slowly. Then observe. But never let it consume you. Let it teach you. Let it fuel your eyes. I leaned back in my chair. The anger, heartbreak, humiliation, all of it had shifted. It was no longer a weight. It was fuel. I whispered to myself, this isn't over. Not for them. And not for me. Cameron grinned. Welcome back, man. The old you is gone. The new one's starting. I looked at the ceiling, imagining her and Asif somewhere, thinking they had one. I smirked quietly. Karma doesn't need me to act. It moves naturally. And for the first time in months, I felt calm. My phone rang unexpectedly. I glanced at the screen. Her name flashed. My chest froze. I answered. Hello. My voice was steady, but my heart thumped like crazy. It's me, she whispered. Weak. Tired. Nothing like the voice I remembered. I blinked. What do you want? Can we meet? She asked. Hesitation in every word. I stared at the phone, my mind racing. Part of me wanted to hang up. Part of me wanted answers. All right, I said finally. Where? A small cafe downtown. I arrived early, heart pounding. The minutes crawled. When she walked in, my stomach twisted. She looked different. Worn down, anxious. Hair messy, eyes hollow. Nothing like the warm, laughing woman I had promised forever to. She saw me and froze. You came, she said softly. I did, I said, my voice tight. Sit down. She hesitated, then slid into the chair across from me. Silence stretched. Finally, she whispered, I made a mistake. I leaned back, gripping my coffee cup. Go on. She took a shaky breath. After I left, everything went wrong. Asif, he lost his job almost immediately. We couldn't find work. We spent all our money moving from place to place. I stared at her. So it wasn't love? It was survival. Her eyes filled with tears. I thought it was love. I really did. But I was wrong. You were wrong. I repeated, voice low. You abandoned me. Our life. For money problems. She flinched. I didn't think like that at first. I thought we'd be happy. I thought we could make it. I didn't plan any of this. I cut her off. You just left me broken, humiliated, while you ran away with a man in debt you knew nothing could sustain. She buried her face in her hands. I'm sorry. I really am. I was selfish. I thought I was following my heart. And your heart led you straight to misery, I said. My voice shook, but not with sadness. Anger? Relief? I wasn't sure. I spent months rebuilding myself, and you've been chasing someone else's chaos. She looked up at me, voice trembling. Can we try again? I froze. The words hit me harder than I expected. I remembered her laugh, her warmth, the nights we planned our future. But now, that future felt distant, unreachable. Try again, I said slowly. Do you even understand what that means? I know I hurt you, she whispered. I know I destroyed everything. But I want to make it right. I want another chance. I shook my head. Do you know what I've done since you left? She looked at me, hope flickering in her eyes. You rebuilt yourself? I smiled faintly, bitterly. Rebuilt. Stronger. Clearer. I stopped trying to please people who don't matter. I stopped waiting for apologies that never came. Her eyes widened. I didn't know. I don't blame you for not knowing, I said. You weren't here. But I don't need you to fix what I've fixed for myself. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I understand. You just what? I asked sharply. Want me to forgive you? Want me to forget months of humiliation, rebuilding, sleepless nights, rage, and pain? Yes, she whispered. I want to fix it. I want to be with you. I shook my head again, slowly, deliberately. I can't, and I won't. She looked devastated. But I love you. I stared at her, and for the first time, I realized something crucial. My feelings, they weren't the same. The love I had felt for her, it had changed, hardened, become something else entirely. Pain, yes. Anger, yes. But no longer longing, no longer dependence. I can't love you like I did, I said quietly. I can't. That person, that version of me, died the day you walked away. She shook her head, tears streaming. Please, just one chance. No, I said firmly. I gave you my all once. I rebuilt myself after you left. I don't need you anymore to define who I am. I'm stronger now because I survived, not because you came back to apologize. She stared at me, silent, broken. I hope you find what you're looking for. I continued, softer now. But it won't be me. I stood, placing cash on the table for my coffee. Take care of yourself. That's all I can wish for you. She tried to speak, but no words came out. I turned and walked away, feeling a weight lift from my chest. Cameron's text pinged as I stepped outside. So, how did it go? I smiled faintly and replied, not what she wanted, but exactly what I needed. For the first time in months, I felt free. Karma, I realized, had already done its work. I sat in the living room, staring at the city skyline through the window. Cameron plopped down beside me. You've been quiet all day. Thinking. I nodded. About everything. Her Asif everything. The man I used to be, I would have forgiven instantly. Taken her back without a second thought. And now, he asked. Now, I said slowly, I'm not that man anymore. I've rebuilt myself from the ashes she left behind. I can't erase what happened. I can't pretend it didn't hurt. My mother came in, holding a cup of tea. Son, she said gently, you've changed. I can see it. The old you would have cried and begged. But now you're calm. Strong. You've learned to protect your heart. I feel strong, I admitted. But I'm scared of who I was. Scared I could have gone back to that version of myself if she begged. Cameron smirked. You'd have been a fool. And fools get hurt again. You're smarter now. You know your value. My father entered quietly, arms crossed. He didn't speak at first. I braced for criticism, for a lecture about family or embarrassment. Instead, he said simply, I heard you didn't take her back. I nodded. I didn't. I couldn't. He looked at me, a faint nod of approval. Good. Sometimes silence is louder than revenge. You chose yourself. That's strength. I blinked. I didn't expect that from you. Don't expect it from me, he said, shrugging. Just don't repeat your mistakes. Learn from them. Cameron leaned back, grinning. See? You're finally earning respect from everyone, even your dad. I allowed a small smile. I suppose I am. Later, I received a tip. Cameron read it aloud. Apparently, Asif, he left her. She's alone. No money, no stability. Thought she was choosing love and freedom. Instead, she lost everything. I let that sink in. She thought she could escape and be happy. But life doesn't work like that. She gambled everything on a man she barely knew. Does it feel good? Cameron asked quietly. I shook my head. Not good. Just fitting. Karma isn't mine to deliver. It moves on its own. A week later, she called. Her voice was trembling. Please, can we meet? I need to say goodbye properly. I hesitated for a moment, then agreed. All right. One last time. I arrived at the cafe we used before. She was already there, hands shaking, tears streaming. Her eyes were red, her face pale. She looked broken. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I never imagined it would end like this. I hurt you, I ruined everything. I held up a hand. I know. I see it. I see the regret. For the first time, I believe you mean it. She sobbed quietly. I was selfish. I thought I was following my heart, but I destroyed yours. I lost everything. I see that now. You do, I said softly. But regret doesn't undo betrayal. It doesn't fix months of humiliation, of rebuilding myself from the wreckage you left. Her voice shook. Please, can we try again? I shook my head slowly, calm. No, that version of me, the one who would have forgiven instantly, he's gone. I'm not him anymore. I can't go back. She cried harder. I never wanted to hurt you. You chose once. I interrupted gently. And now you live with the consequences. That's your lesson, not mine. I've learned mine already. Her hands trembled as she reached out, but I didn't take them. Goodbye, I said quietly. She looked at me, disbelief and sorrow in her eyes. You're just leaving? Yes, I said. I'm leaving the past where it belongs. I'm walking forward, stronger, wiser. And I hope someday you find peace with your choices. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I truly am sorry. I believe you, I said. But belief doesn't mean I go back. It means I move on. I forgive, but I don't forget. Goodbye. I stood, straightened my jacket, and walked toward the door. My heart didn't ache like it used to. It was lighter, freer. Outside, Cameron waited. Well, he asked. I exhaled, letting the tension leave my shoulders. Well, it's over. Finally over. He grinned. Feels good, doesn't it? I nodded. It feels right. Ishuz mizev. That's the first time in my life I did that without guilt. Cameron slapped me on the back. And that's why you're going to win at life from here on out. I looked at the city lights, calm and steady. She had her regrets. I had my clarity. Life moved forward. No anger, no longing, no heartbreak. Just me, walking my path, finally free. And for the first time in a long time, I knew I would never let anyone have that power over me again. The mornings have changed. I wake early, not out of anxiety or heartbreak, but purpose. The city hums outside, and I sip my coffee quietly. Cameron sits across from me, scrolling his phone. You look different, he says, not looking up. Calm, confident, not the wreck I used to see. I've rebuilt, I say. Not just my business, not just my body, myself. He grins. Feels good, doesn't it? It does, I admit. Feels right. Feels free. The office buzzes with energy. I've taken full control of my responsibilities. My father, once distant and demanding, now occasionally checks in with a nod. You're handling this well, he said yesterday. I see effort, strategy, and patience. You've changed. For the better. I smiled faintly. Thank you, Dad. That means a lot. He didn't add criticism, just walked away. I realized then how far we've come. Mutual respect without pretense, without fear. Weeks later, she's a memory that doesn't sting. I think of her sometimes, but not with pain. Only lessons. Cameron teases me. You know, you'll tell your kids one day about all this, and they'll never believe it. Maybe, I say, smiling, but they'll understand the lesson. Betrayal isn't the end. It's a teacher. Harsh, yes, but necessary. One afternoon, a new face appeared in the office lobby. A young woman, polite, professional, with a warm smile. Hi, I'm Sarah. I've been assigned as the new marketing lead. I'm looking forward to working with you. I stood, extending my hand. Welcome aboard. I'm glad you're here. She smiled wider. Thank you. I've heard great things about your work. It's inspiring. Thank you, I said. I think we'll make a good team. Over the weeks, Sarah became a steady presence. Not too intrusive, but warm, attentive, and intelligent. She asked questions, listened, offered ideas, and slowly, I realized I looked forward to her insights. Her presence didn't fill a void or erase memories. It just added something new, something positive. One evening, while reviewing reports, she said softly, "You seem different than most leaders I've met. Calm, measured, but strong. People respect you." I paused, considering her words. I've learned the hard way that strength comes from surviving, from choosing yourself when others fail to value you. She nodded, understanding. It's rare. Not everyone can do that. I smiled faintly. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Later, walking through the city streets after work, I thought of the chaos, the betrayal, the humiliation, and I realized something important. The day my fiancé ran away with Asif, the worst day of my life, was also the day my real life began. Cameron met me at the cafe. You okay, man? He asked, handing me a coffee. I nodded. More than okay. I'm alive. Fully alive. He smiled knowingly. Looks like you finally understand. Sometimes the worst days are the best lessons. You were forced to rebuild, to grow, to become the man you needed to be. I laughed softly. Exactly. I wouldn't trade the lessons for anything. Even the heartbreak. It saved me from the wrong future. From a life I didn't belong in. Sarah texted me, checking in on a project. I looked at her message, smiled, and replied. Her presence was gentle, natural, like a small ray of light after months of storms. At the weekend, I attended a wedding. Not mine, not someone close, just a friend. But as I stood there, watching the couple exchange vows, I felt a clarity I had never felt before. The rings, the smiles, the promises, that didn't frighten me. They didn't remind me of loss. They reminded me of possibility. Cameron nudged me. You're thinking about your own wedding already, aren't you? I shook my head, chuckling. No, I'm thinking about life. About moving forward. About choosing the right path, not the easy one. He smirked. Sounds like you've finally won. Quietly, steadily, without drama. Exactly, I said. No drama. Just growth. Just strength. Just life. I glanced at Sarah's message again. I realized then how far I'd come. Betrayal had once destroyed me, but also taught me my worth, my strength, my patience. And now, with new people, new opportunities, and new beginnings, I felt alive in a way I never had before. I stood there, watching the happy couple, and whispered to myself, sometimes the worst day of your life is the day your real life begins. And I finally understood it fully.